Hey guys, Mrs. Talk Techie here, and yes, I am still working on Bitmoji, a comprehensive guide, but I want you guys to know this. It's the fact that I'm trying to make it as comprehensive as possible, that before you know it, I'm working on something and I enter a rabbit hole and then I make something more comprehensive, and that thing requires a video in itself. So you're going to see that throughout this video, which is now that you've created your Bitmoji classrooms, what are some ideas that you can use them for? Because I have noticed on different social media platforms, teachers asking, well, what do I use it for? And so hopefully this video will spark some creativity, some innovation, and kind of get those wheels turning on how you can implement this in your classroom so that it could directly impact student learning. A couple of things to keep in mind is, for the most part, if I have something that I'm working on, like a template, I always give you access to that. You'll find it in the description below of this YouTube video. I have gotten some messages saying that they can't find it, that they don't see it. There's always a read more, and if you click on the read more, then you'll be able to see it. If not, depending on the device you're using, like I've noticed that on my phone, there's a little down arrow, like a little upside down triangle. Click on that and you'll get more of the description below. So if not, comment, and I always add those links for you. Not a problem, guys. I'm humbled by the fact that you guys even want a copy of the stuff I'm working on. So just keep those things in mind, and also don't forget to subscribe. And once you subscribe, if you hit the bell next to it, that means you're going to be getting notifications every time I upload content. The reason why I ask you to do that is because if you do want a copy of the final resource, you'll be able, once I do put it up there, you'll be able to get notified once it is up there. I did promise this to a lot of people on different social media platforms, and I do want to deliver what I promised. Here's a little agenda of what we're going to be reviewing today. Starting off with hyperlinks. What are they? How do they work? Just basics 101. Then I'm going to talk about how we can create virtual libraries. Then how to use your classrooms to create weekly assignments, how you can link those to your Google Classroom, why publish to the web, like what's the difference, right, from just sending something on present mode. And then Bitmoji, your lesson cycle, which is actually an offshoot video that I created as well. So you'll get that link also within this presentation. Virtual resource rooms, student pace review rooms, meet the teacher, Bitmoji classrooms, a parent connection, which acts kind of like a newsletter, pre-K mastery folder, which I actually did another video on, and of course I'll add it here as well. And finally, a fun rest and relaxation and reflection room, something kind of to change things up. These are just ideas. There are so many more out there, but these are my favorites. So let's get started with the actual presentation. So the very first thing we're going to get started with is hyperlinking basics. All right. So I'm going to take you to my Bitmoji classroom that I have here, and I just want to show you some hyperlinking basics. The very first thing, if you are new to Google Slides in general, there's something that we need to always remember. In order to get the linking option, right, in our toolbar, we need to select something in our slide. So I want you guys to try to direct your attention to the toolbar up here. Notice I do not have that little chain link as an option because I haven't selected anything. I'm going to show you right now really quick. I'm going to select on my Bitmoji here, and you're going to notice how that toolbar changes. And now I have options for that image. So I'm able to now format my Bitmoji. So just keep those things in mind. If I select outside of the slide, my formatting options change. All right. So that's just one little tip that will really help us, especially if we're barely getting started with Google Slides. So the next thing is, let's do a real simple link that we're going to add here. I'm going to go to YouTube. And I'm going to go to the URL here, and I'm going to click on Control-C. So I'm copying that link. And then I'm going to go back to my classroom. And here in my classroom, I'm going to click on Control-V. So you can't really see it. It's already a hyperlink. But what I like to do is I like to change the color of it to a blue, like a bright blue, because that's more of a universal sign for, hey, I'm a link, click on me. Here's just a little FYI, that's how it works. Now this is hyperlinked anywhere you put it. For example, I'm going to move it around up here. Now this is hyperlinked, so if you click on it, it'll direct you to YouTube. So that's just one. That's the first way we can do things. The next way is I want to show you how you can hyperlink text. So here I added some text, but I want to hyperlink this word right here. I'm going to get rid of this. I want to hyperlink this word right here that says click. I'm going to select it and I'm going to highlight it. And then I'm going to click on the link, insert link. And again, I'm going to type youtube.com. So now that one right there is hyperlinked. So if I go on present mode and notice, you know when something is hyperlinked when you hover over it and you get the little hand cursor versus the arrow cursor. So nothing's hyperlinked here, but once I hover here, now I know that's hyperlinked and I'm going to click on it and it's going to take me to YouTube. So there you go. Of course, you can always add just plain text, add your word, and then click on it, select it, and insert link. And there you have it. Now that's linked. So when you go on present mode, you're able to see that it's hyperlinked. What if you have a really long URL that you don't want it to show the entire thing, like this one? What you can easily do is go ahead and click on it, and then the little edit link, the little pencil, you're going to click on that. And here where it says text, you can actually change the text of it. So it's going to replace it with whatever word you put there. So in this case, I'm going to put just the word website and I'm going to click apply. And now that's the long URL I used to have, but I replaced it with the word website. So the last thing I want to show you is how we can link to slides within our slide deck. So just like we easily link text and images and the actual websites, we can do the same thing but to slides within our presentation. So I'm going to grab a Bitmoji from my Bitmoji Chrome extension and I'm going to drag it over. I'm going to resize it a bit here. And I know that I've selected it because it does have that blue outline or the little squares around it. And I'm going to go up here to insert link and I'm going to click on slides in this presentation. And now I can actually link it to different slides here. So let's say I want to link it to the very first slide, slide 1. And I'm going to click on apply. So now you can tell that it's been linked. I'm going to go to present mode. And now when I click on this image, I know that it's hyperlinked because I have the little hand cursor. So I'm going to click on it. And now it took me back to my very first slide. So that was just another tip and trick. Now let's get started with some more advanced features, guys. So if you're planning on making your classroom, your Bitmoji classroom, an interactive slide presentation where kids are going to be able to edit it, meaning using this edit mode, then you want to make sure that you make it as easy as possible to navigate through it. A lot of the times when we want our kids to work on things, they're working off cell phones, they're working off of tablets. And so a lot of these features are movable. So they might end up starting to do things like this and they'll end up getting frustrated. So we want to facilitate all those things for them. So I highly recommend that you make as much as you can, that you anchor it down. And by that I mean you want to save it as an image and then re-upload it and set it up as a background image, because that will eliminate that little headache that our kids will have. What do I recommend? If this is one of my presentations that I want my kids, that I've linked my kids to, I want them to be able to edit this to add text right here. But notice if I click here, then they can easily format this image. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove these right here. So for example, I remove those right there. The reason why is because then I'm going to link those a little later on. So I'm going to remove them. Then I'm going to go to File, Download, and I want to download this as a image. So I'm going to go with JPEG. And so now it downloaded this one image. I have selected it. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and show you how easy it is to set it up as a background image. So here's a blank slide presentation. I'm going to right click, change background, choose image, browse from my computer, and I'm going to go to my downloads, and there it is, and I'm going to open it up and it's done. So now there's no moving these things around for our kiddos. Now I can just add text boxes right here so that they can fill those in. In addition, I can now grab these right here, and because I've already hyperlinked them, they're hyperlinked. The kiddos can go ahead and with ease type in all this information in our interactive presentation. So that's just another quick tip and trick, guys. Let me take you to the last one. So this is actually my favorite, and it's more of a trick than a tip, and I use it all of the time. If you have an image, I have here the numbers 1 through 20, and I want to hyperlink each individual number, but the entire thing is an image within itself. I have a trick that you can use to hyperlink each number. So check it out, guys. All you have to do is go to Insert a Shape, and for some reason, it's not working for me. I don't know if there's a thunderstorm right now, and this isn't working, but I'm going to click on Rectangle, and then I'm going to make a shape over the number 1. See? And after that, I'm going to go to the little bucket fill, and I'm going to change it to transparent. I'm going to change the outline to transparent, and now I have a transparent shape over the number 1 that I can actually hyperlink. So I'm going to click on the hyperlink, and I'm going to go to slides in this presentation, and let's pretend that I want them to be hyperlinked to 4th slide in this presentation. I'm going to click apply. Now I have it hyperlinked. I can Control C, Control V, and then roll it over to the side. And now if I click on this little edit link, I can remove that one, slides in this presentation, and now number 2 is going to take them to slide 5, apply. So one last time, Control C, Control V, move it over, and I would continue doing this with all the numbers or depending on everything you want to showcase. It's as easy as that. So I'm going to go on present mode. Now the number 1 is hyperlinked, 2, 3, and the rest would be hyperlinked as well, so that when they click on the number 1, it takes them where I want them to go, right? So this is just an example, guys. The possibilities are endless of how you can use this trick. I love this trick. Think about, let's say, the life cycle of a butterfly, and you have the entire image, but you put a transparent image over the first one, right? The egg, and that will be hyperlinked to another slide that talks all about the egg and how long it takes, or I don't know any of that stuff. Or maybe something having to do with the body systems, or westward expansion and territorial acquisition, or let's think of the plot diagram. What does each one mean? You can do a little transparent shape over each part of it. So really, it's just up to you. You know, you're the pro at your content, so I'm sure that you can get your own innovative ideas. So I hope you guys like that one. That one is my absolute favorite. So now that we've done the hyperlinks, tips, and tricks, let's move on to just some of the possibilities that are out there when creating Bitmoji virtual classrooms. The first one is a virtual library. And Lindsay Bear was kind enough to share this on a social media platform, and so I grabbed a copy. This one itself within my presentation is just literally an image of it, because I wasn't able to like copy it and paste it here, but I added her actual hyperlink in the presenter's note. I did ask her for permission, and she said it was okay. So you'll find the actual link for this library in the presenter's note on the bottom of this presentation. Now, let me tell you one thing. I love anything, as you can tell, comprehensive, conceptual. So all this has to do with Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the entire series, and the upcoming one, which is the one she's reading. So I absolutely love this, and you can see how we can easily create this. Grab an image, paste it on here, then hyperlink it to a YouTube video. Now, if you don't know how to hyperlink to a YouTube video, not a problem. I'm going to show you how easy it is. And this is also a little workaround just in case. Let's say you do want to add the presentation like this slide to another slides deck that you have, but you can't copy the entire thing and paste it. You can take a screenshot just like I did here, and then you can actually copy the links over. If not, let me show you what we're going to do here is I'm going to add a transparent image like we did earlier to these. I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to find a link to this book right here. So I'm making these transparent, and then let me take it to YouTube. So here's the YouTube read aloud. And let's assume that I already went through all the vetting process and I found that this one is allowable. They got the permission to read it out loud, and I'm ready to copy that link. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the share button down here, and I'm going to click on copy. Now, the one thing I don't want my kids to have is to have those advertisements right before or during the entire video. So I'm going to take it to a website called safeyoutube.net, and I'm going to paste that one right here, and I'm going to generate a link. And here is my safe link. They're not going to get any of that commercials or any of that stuff while they're listening to the book. So now it's ready. I'm going to go ahead and copy, and I'm going to take it back. And here, just like we practiced earlier, I'm going to insert the link, and I'm going to paste it and apply. And so now it's been hyperlinked to a YouTube video, and it's a safe YouTube video. So I hope you guys like those little tips and tricks there. I know I said I wasn't going to show you any more stuff like that. It was going to be a show and tell, but I can't help myself. In the middle of doing this video, like I start getting ideas and I'm like, no, I got to show that too. So anyways, another thing with that said, another thing you can easily do, guys, and I love this idea, is if you're an ELA teacher and you have passages that you have your kids have to read. Let's say we're doing remote learning and you want to push out those passages. You can add them to your drive and then get that link from your drive, and you can make these into, instead, you can make them into your reading passages, and you can have activities that go alongside with those and stuff like that. So I hope you guys like that. So the next part is creating weekly assignments in your virtual classroom. So I'm going to take you to what I'm using for my summer school class. So here we have our virtual classroom. We have our daily check-ins, and these can actually act as your weekly assignments. So if you want Monday to be linked to your Monday slide, what are they going to be creating on Monday? The kids can easily click on this and it can take them over to that slide. Or in my case, I link these to our Google Forms. So if they click on Monday, it'll take them to the check-in, which is a Google form. Now that Google form, though, is actually hyperlinked to the Google Classroom assignment. So let me show you how easily I did that. Now I'm going to take you to my Google Classroom. And here is the check-in for my Google Classroom. I created the assignment, but notice we have the three little dots here. I'm going to click on them, and I'm going to copy the link to this assignment, which is the check-in form, the Google form. So I'm going to copy it, and it's that simple. I'm going to take it back to my virtual classroom, click on this, hyperlink it, and paste that Google form and apply. So now when my kids click on it, it's going to take them to Google Classroom to complete the Google form. And so I get to see if they completed it. So I have attendance and I have a grade for it as well that I can submit. So that's how easily you can do that. So the next tool I love using from Google Slides is publishing it to the web. And the reason why I publish to the web is because, one, you don't have to mess with any sharing settings. It's out there. Anyone with the link can view it, can access it. Two, anytime you make modifications or you adjust it or changes, it's automatically going to update as well. So that means if you get this link, the published link, and you make it into a QR code and you give that QR code to your parents, every time you update, that's the same QR code they're going to need. You're not going to have to share out a new QR code. You're not going to have to share out a new link. Because it's published to the web, any changes you make, it'll automatically update as well. And there's no need to mess with the sharing settings. So how can you easily do that? You go to File, then you publish to the web. And then here, this is what you're going to publish to the web. All right, so I'm already publishing this to my kiddos, but here you'd have a publish. So you'd click on it and you'd get this. Now, I know that you see that it says auto advance slides. So every 3 seconds, it's going to auto advance. Unfortunately, there's no like off button for that, but it doesn't really matter because the only time this auto advance will be activated is if you go to the side on the navigation bar. Once you share out the link, they click on the link. On the bottom, there's a little navigation bar. If they click on the play button, then it will automatically advance. If they don't click on the play button, then it won't. It's hyperlinked, you'll use the hyperlinks. So this is the link you'll use. You can copy that and share it out however you want to with your kids through any platform. So if you use Remind, if you use Class Dojo, if you use Google Classroom, you can share it out there. Now, the other thing I wanted to tell you is one thing that I did hear from a colleague was that his son would do all the assignments for the week in one day so that he didn't have to do anything the rest of the week, which to me is really smart. But we want our kids actively engaged as much as possible, hopefully every day. So here, if you notice, I have Monday, Tuesday. Let's pretend these were your assignments. What you could easily do is set these up. Let's pretend each one of these is an assignment. So let's say this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can skip the slides like this and until you're ready, until Tuesday comes around, then you'd right click and then you'd remove the little check from the skip slide. And let's say it's Tuesday now. Now they have access to what was Monday and Tuesday. And then let's say this one's for Wednesday. Wednesday comes around, I can undo the skip slide. So I'm sure you noticed over here, I have a video of myself here. That one I actually put on my drive. So I'm going to go to this skip slide and I'm going to unskip it. And here I'm going to insert video that I uploaded to my drive. And let's say it's this one. And I'm going to select it. And there's the video. Now, if you're using it published to the web, when it comes to videos, you still have to go in and change the sharing settings because depending on what Google account you're using, if it's your school one, then you probably have restrictions, sharing restrictions. So you would still have to go to your Google Drive and find the sharing settings for that specific video and make sure that you put anyone with link can view, because you are publishing to the web and that means you're allowing everyone to view this presentation. So just a little FYI, just keep that in mind. So let's take it now to Bitmoji, your lesson cycle, which I actually created an offshoot video for this one. Let's take it over there just so you guys can see. What this does is it takes you through the entire lesson cycle. And in this case, we use a cue set, so grabbing the kids' attention. We use our initial teach or our best shot at it. We have guided practice, independent practice. We check for understanding, and then we give a closure. That's our lesson cycle. I know that there's other models and frameworks like the 5E, and those can easily be adapted here. Each one of these can be a part of the 5E model. But I wanted to give something more structured when it comes to recreating a lesson in remote learning, digitally. So this is just an example of how you can revolutionize your virtual classroom by actually creating an entire classroom that goes through your lesson cycle. So number one, keep in mind, guys, I'm just going to go through this fairly quickly. There is an entire video in the presenter's notes in this presentation. All right, guys? And of course, you can find it on my YouTube, Mrs. Talk Techie. So on number one here, this is my cue set. So I want to hook my kids on the lesson. And it's called Let's Talk About It. And here they get to pick and choose a door to do a visual analysis of some imagery. So for example, if I pick this one right here, it's showing me a picture of the Boston Tea Party. And I'm going to use the taco strategy to analyze it and start making some predictions and drawing conclusions. And then of course, I'm going to use Flipgrid here to go ahead and do my reflection and my summary of it. And so I get to choose 1, 2, or 3, image 1, 2, or 3. And so after that, we're going to go home and it's hyperlinked back to this slide. And then we're going to go to Edpuzzle. And here I would hyperlink this to a video on the causes of the American Revolution. We also use, and I didn't mention this earlier, but if you look towards the left-hand side, we also use in our classroom the kids are used to us talking about what is our content objective for that day and what is our language. How are we going to use our different language domains to learn our content objective? So I have those for the day, just like we'd have in the regular classroom. The kids are used to that. Let's keep it going. Let's keep that continuity, right? And so then our guided practice is a graphic organizer that they're going to be able to fill out because of the Edpuzzle video tutorial that they went through as well. And oh, by the way, here are the presentations, the different presentations that I did for this specific one. So I'm going through this really fast. Now I'm going to present it, and I'm going to go to independent practice. And under independent practice, the kids have a little task card that I created. This digital task card basically gives them step-by-step, this is what I want you to accomplish. So in this case, they're going to be doing a propaganda revolutionary protest poster, and they're going to submit it to Google Classroom, and they're going to do a submission as well on Flipgrid. So once they're done with that, we go back to the lesson cycle, and we're going to check for understanding now. And I want them to complete a quizzes, right? So a quiz on what they've learned. But the expectation is for them to get an 80%. If they don't, they know that they need to come back to the wall of knowledge and complete 2 of these right here. And so these will be hyperlinked to specific content having to do with the Revolutionary Era. So they might get another Edpuzzle. They might be linked to some text, some literature on Study Island. They might get some flashcards on Quizlet or watch a Brain Pop video, or so on and so forth. And so that's another way that we're going to be checking for understanding. We go back to our lesson cycle and our closure. And the closure, guys, I love to tie everything in. So because of the French and Indian War, the nation, Britain, is in debt. That leads to the causes of the American Revolution, which is imposing taxes without their consent. And then what's to come, right? So let's start making some predictions, some inferences, and what do you think is going to happen? So if they need reinforcement on why this happened, they can click here for the previous week's lesson. If they'd like to get ahead and learn more about what's to come, they can click here as well. And that would conclude the lesson cycle. So I hope you guys like that. I know I went through it really fast. If you want an in-depth explanation, go ahead and check out those YouTube videos that I linked in the presenter's notes. Going back, let's go to our virtual resource room. And this virtual resource room is basically in school. You have so many resources and different platforms that you use for kids to use like programs. So Study Island, your school website, we have Reading Renaissance, maybe there's Khan Academy, there's Flowcabulary. All of these are things that your kiddos might use. Imagine Learning. And so all of them require logins and passwords as well. Some of them are uniform, like one for all the kids, use the same logins, but some are actually specific, personalized for that student. So if the child forgets any of the logins, whether they be the school login or their personal one, they can click here, and this will take them to a Google form that I created. And so this is the idea. This is just a mock one, guys, because I get the ideas and then I'm like, okay, so how would it look? And I'm going to require them to put their email address. And then here, this would actually have the logins and passwords for the ones that are school accounts. So all you need is, the name of your school and whatever the password is. This would be showing it there, right? So they could easily reference this. And then it says, if you need login information for your own personal account, fill out the questions below. If not, go ahead and just exit out of this form. So then here, they would go ahead and fill it out and submit it, okay? And once they submit it, I've actually gone through, and I'm going to show you, once I get the results, here are some of my results. So let's say Ozzie Albies, our second baseman for the Atlanta Braves, has submitted that he needs his login and password for Study Island. Now, what I love is that I can easily go here to Tools, Notification Rules, and I can have it so that every time someone submits to this Google form, I'll get an email, I'll get a notification, and I can go back and look at it and right then and there, give them their login and password, respond to them by sending them an email back. Hey, this is your login and password for this site. So you can easily do that, guys. I love this feature. Just another way to go about facilitating it, your resources and using them in remote learning or even in school. Once we're back in school, the kids always forget. And if they're trying to access one of the resources and they're not in your classroom, once you get that notification, you can easily respond to them. So that was another one. Let's go back. Next is a student-paced review room. And the student-paced review room is very similar to the wall of knowledge. So here it says you'll find many different resources to help you review the specific content. So all you would do here is change the topic up here and change the links based on what your content is for that week or that unit. So it's up to you how detailed or how broad you want to make this review. So it says, unless instructed otherwise, you can click on any of the following links to help you reinforce your learning. So unless your teacher says, I need you to go in and do Quizlet for the causes of the American Revolution, then you would do that. If not, they can go through all of them and just kind of reinforce that knowledge and that learning. So this would be your review, their virtual review room. The Meet the Teacher. Here in Meet the Teacher, we can easily send out a QR code, a link, and we can publish it to the web so that if you as a teacher, your office hours change or your number or your conference hours or whatever it may be, you can change them here. You can also have your school website linked there as well. So this is just another way that you can use virtual classrooms. The parent connection is actually a favorite of mine. I haven't been able to really personalize it the way I should and I would, because I was trying to push this out as soon as possible. But here, what I love about it is if you ever want to give out information to your parents, you can post it here. Hey, these events are coming up. You have a science benchmark coming up. You can link your science classroom here as well. Any different information or announcements you want to give to your parents, you can have here. In addition to that, you can also have it so that they can go through it and see future events. So for other months, you can actually put the months down here. I was barely thinking of that. Put the months down here and put the previous months and future months. So as you're filling them in, they can start seeing what's coming up. So I call this the parent connection. And at our school, we work by teams, so kind of like pods. And so there's a group of kids that all those kids have the same ELA, math, science, and social studies teacher. So that's why we're called teams. And so this would be a great way to be able to use this, or you can make it a school parent connection. So future events for the entire school. So next, moving on, the pre-K mastery folder. OMG, I went crazy with this one. And with that said, there is another video, a YouTube video that I made. I'll link the actual video in the presenter's notes. All right, guys. This one uses the publishing to the web tool, and I created a QR code with it. And this is for pre-K kiddos, but can easily be adapted for any grade level. And when I say mastery folder here, it's just another word for homework folder. And so here, the kids would get that code, and this is what they'd receive. And they would click on it. And for example, they would play the phonics song. They'd go along with it. And then on Fridays, though, they'd have to submit a Flipgrid video response on them singing the phonics song. So just another neat way of going about doing your homework and helping your parents, facilitating that for them. Because I mentioned in the other video that I created, I do have 4 boys and I have triplet 8-year-olds. And when they were in pre-K, it was so difficult for me because I'm not an elementary teacher. So I can only assume parents who are not in the education field, how lost they might have felt if I felt lost in elementary. So this would really facilitate both the parents and the students practicing and getting that repetition in that's necessary. So let's go back home. And here they could also do numbers, like I mentioned earlier. And on Mondays, what they do is they practice their penmanship, and I explain everything having to do with this. And they would submit this to a virtual bulletin board called Padlet. If you don't know what Padlet is and you're interested, here's one Padlet for parents, but I've also linked Padlet for teachers in the presenter's notes as well. So I'm going to take it back home. You have the colors as well. And so they would practice their colors and sing along with the video here and submit on Flipgrid on Thursday an activity having to do with colors. Now shapes. Here's another activity having to do with shapes. Every day they need to go through all of them, but on specific days of the week, they need to submit certain things, sometimes to Padlet and sometimes to Flipgrid. And so here it's called Tech Shape Tuesday. So what I would want them to do is I would want them to find a shape around the house and take a picture of it and upload it to Padlet. So on this one, I'll show you what Padlet looks like. And I go through the entire thing of how to create a Padlet, how to link it in the other video that is hyperlinked to this one. So here, this would just be an example of the kids finding shapes around their house. So a square, stars, oval or ellipses, oval, circle, squares, so stuff like that. So the kids would submit it, and I could see what kids have submitted here on this virtual bulletin board. And taking it back home, what else? What about days of the week? They could rock out and sing the days of the week using the Addams Family theme song as well. And finally, their penmanship, they would be given this as a hard copy. So they would have all their hard copies with them. They'd complete it, and then they'd upload it to Padlet as well. So the pre-K folder, mastery folder, actually has a lot more, guys, but I condensed it so much. I do highly recommend, and I hope that you do watch the actual video that has to do with creating this pre-K mastery folder. And remember, it can be adapted to all grade levels. And finally, the last one for this video tutorial is the rest, relax, and reflection room. And it doesn't look great. Again, I didn't give myself enough time to really make this virtual classroom look good. But one thing our kids do need is some downtime, some brain breaks, right? So here, like they would click on this one and it would tell them, okay, the yoga pose of the week. Well, what about some Sudoku? This would lead them to an online Sudoku. Sudoku? I don't know if I'm saying it right, but you know what I mean. Some satisfying videos, right? The kids love watching those where like you're cutting Play-Doh or kinetic sand and stuff like that. This one is another activity that it's color by numbers, and it's online, it's virtual, so they would be coloring it and they'd have a final product. These are breathing exercises. This is actually games, online games, so it's hyperlinked to online games. Some America's Funniest Home Videos. This Bitmoji, laughing Bitmoji, is hyperlinked. What about some Where's Waldo's? So it's kind of like a I Spy activity. And what if they just need someone to talk to? What if they just want to get something off their chest? They want to speak to someone. Maybe they're having problems and they want to reach out to someone. This is where they could reach out to you, and it would be considered a safe place. And you would tell the kids, hey, no one else is gonna listen to that. I'm going to moderate it, so only I get to hear if you have anything you want to speak to me about. And so this is the rest and relaxation and reflection room. That concludes the video presentation for Bitmoji Hyperlink Classroom. I hope you guys like that. Don't forget to comment if you have any questions. I try my best to always answer them in a timely manner. And don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. The likes are my affirmation of performance. It lets me know what you guys are interested in. Therefore, I'll create more video tutorials geared towards that. So thank you so much. You can tell I'm a little tired. They're very tiring. I don't take breaks because I don't have a lot of time. As I mentioned, I do have 4 boys. So the time I do have, I try to get it out of the way. But I hope you do know that I do put my best foot forward, and as much effort as possible as I can. So thank you so much, guys. And let me know what you think. I hope you have a good one. And oh my God, I almost forgot. Check it out. The next video tutorial that I'm going to make is going to include all of these classrooms, virtual classrooms, and how you can get them all together in one Google site. So basically a website. Easy. It is so easy, guys. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe, because if you do subscribe, you'll be able to get that notification when I upload that next video. We'll see you guys. Have a good one.